Hey everyone, Monty here, and I'm playing Life is Feudal. This is going to be my brand new series. It's Life is Feudal 101, and I'm going to teach you the basics from jumping into the game and how to get started, how to survive in this medieval sandbox building game. I kind of made a little Monty Let's Play that kind of explains what the game is if you want to check that out, but now I'm going to just jump right to it and tell you guys, what to do once you start out. The very first thing you do is you start out, you have your inventory, you get 5 cookies, you press I to get to your inventory, and then you press T to bring up your equipment, and this is your little, they call it like a paper doll of what you look like and where you can equip your stuff. I think they kind of unequipped your shirt, little rags that you get to start, so you kind of have to teach yourself, okay, this is how I equip something. So you just drag it on and put it on there. You can also see, compared to the I button, once you bring up your T button, your paper doll, you could also just click inventory and it will bring up your inventory. Nice thing is everything you can move around, it's all very flexible. You have your little heads-up display here, and then very first thing I want to explain is when you get into this game, if you don't remember all of my tips, press F1. F1 gives you all the basics of movement, how to combat, like peaceful mode, view controls. There's not too much to it, so it's worth a refresher. Press F1, kind of read over what buttons do what, because every game is a little bit different, and I think the controls of this game can be a little bit new to players and maybe a little bit frustrating. So as you can see, you can use the WASD keys, but you might be going, hey, why can't I look side to side? Press that tab key. Once you press the tab key, it gives you that camera view to where you can actually move around and look around like that. Right, so let's do this. We can move around. Step 1 to survival is you must make your primitive tools. So what you can do is you can see you can right click on the ground, and that brings up a lot of options. Depending on how you set your skills, different options will appear. Now, before I get too much into how to collect the skills, I want you to actually take a look at your skills so you get an understanding of the skill tree. You do this by pressing the L key. The L key is going to bring up all your different options here, as far as, the very first one's like prospecting, mining, smelting, forging, armorsmith. So to unlock these skills, you have to unlock the previous skill on this tree. You can't like get farming up to level 100, which is the level cap, and all of a sudden start working on carpentry. So as you can see, carpentry is grayed out, but as soon as we get our logging skills up, carpentry will then unlock. So if you're wondering why I joined the game, I can't build a house, I can't construct anything, well, this game works by you have to actually up your skills to, do more things, very real life type aspect. The very first thing I want to start working on is we've got to get our forestry up, and then we need to get our logging up. To do that, because we need to get some primitive tools going, just run to the forest. Be careful, it's not too dangerous in this world at the moment. They do spawn wolves, which will chase you and kill you. I have screenshots to prove it, and you get a little tombstone in the ground, and it's a wonderful time. The wolves, the nice thing about the wolves is they tend to hang out with the other animal, which is a big moose. So as long as you kind of stay away from that moose, you should be all in the clear. So again, you walk up to your tree. Now if you just left click on it, your guy's going to just do something. However, you don't really know what he's doing. The left click is just your default action, and I'm going to show you how to change your default action as soon as my guy finishes up. The other thing you want to do is hit the tab key so you don't move around. And when you start the game, I realize I think you start out in your global chat. You're going to want to switch this over to your little system view, because this is going to show you all the changes. Every action you do, it's going to let you know the items that you found, what skills leveled up. So as you can see, by that default action, I found a branch, and I got forestry, constitution, and willpower skills. Now, if you don't want finding branch, which you can see is your default, you right click on the tree, and now you have options. I have forestry or logging. Now for forestry, you can either get a sprout, which we'd be able to replant, because we don't want to just clear cut the entire island and not have any more trees. But right now we don't need to do that. Let's go ahead and inspect the tree. So instead of switching things to default, you can simply right click and click on the other options. So this is a major maple tree, so that's awesome. It would have 25 pieces of bark, 49 branches, and 5 maple tree sprouts. So this is a good find. So now let's also show you how to change that default action. Like if we wanted to inspect tree to be our default action, you just right click, kind of just mouse over your forestry and then right click on your inspected tree, and you can see your default action changes. So now when I just run up to a tree, I would inspect it with a left click instead of pulling a branch. However, I want it to be snap a branch because we need a lot of branches for our primitive tools. Now for primitive tools, you might be going like right clicking on the ground and you're going, hey, how do I build my tools? How does that work? Well, that's why I had us go collect a branch. Now if you open up your inventory, this is real nice. You can kind of stack stuff on each other. It's very open. It's not like squared out to where you know, items are forced to go anywhere. You're basically just restricted to your backpack. You're shoving items in it, and here's your little weight limit. So right now I'm at 6 out of 126. So again, everything is kind of right click in this game. So you're going to right click on your branch. And as you can see, that brings up a forestry option, which is create a primitive tool, which is what we need to do. There's also your fishing and hunting, which we could create a snare, or general actions, which is drop the stick on the ground, which we don't want to do because we need the stick. So go ahead and left click on your create a primitive tool. That brings up a whole new creation menu. So the nice thing is just these are the basics. You're going to have to do this to start creating your primitive tools. Everything else in the game kind of works like this. So once you start getting better tools, you right click on those specific tools and it brings up a specific menu of what that tool can build. So basically right now we're looking at what can we build out of sticks. So with that, I would suggest you want to build all your primitive weapons here. You've got your sickle, shovel, hammer, axe, pickaxe, saw. So let's go through the sickle, farming, shovel, terraforming, hammer, construction, axe, chopping down trees, pickaxe is for mining, your saw is for actually doing logging. So when you cut down a tree with your axe, you can turn it into like billets or logs or construction logs. Your torch doesn't work yet. You can build it, it doesn't work yet. That's going to be implemented in a future update. Primitive fishing pole, you can build that and then go out to the water and fish, which you could then cook. However, in this game, we'll go over it a little bit more in the future, but the best source of food at the time seems to be apples, and there's an abundant level amount of apples in the forest. Then you can also build your sling, which is the very first type of weapon that you can use to protect yourself or hunt down animals to get bones and meat and all that stuff. Primitive cup, I don't really know, I haven't really used it too much. I guess you could drink water out of it, but there's no really need for it yet. Your crucible and stick, this is for when you start smelting and forging better weapons and things like that. You're going to have to get a crucible and stick. That would also work in both your furnace and your forge and anvil that we'll get to eventually. Primitive knife, this is needed for skinning and also creating other items like handles and bow crafting. And then you can build a primitive cooking pot for, again, if you go fishing and collect some fish and you want to cook that way. So right now we're going to start out with, we're going to want to terraform. So let's just click on any of these and it'll show you what does it take to build this. So it shows it takes one stick. You're going to look at the red here. It takes one, this is called flint stone. Not the Flintstones, but flint stone. And then you have your one plant fiber. Now, this means you got to go collect it. So we plant branches, no problem. We just go up to a tree and crack them. For wild fibers, you just click on the ground and you hit Nature's Lore, gather plant fibers. And he's going to hit here and just kind of whack at the ground for a while until he collects plant fibers. Now flintstone, that's going to take us a little bit more skill and a little bit more challenge. We are going to have to actually go explore and find some rock in the ground. It'll be a different texture. The textures are pretty easy to see and well made in this game. But the one thing I've noticed is the sun is going down, so it's going to be a little dark and it's going to be a little hard to see. So before I start running off into the woods, what I want to do is I'm going to hit tab and kind of go over everything here. So if you hit F10, it lets you move all your bars around, kind of like a banished feel. You can kind of set up your UI how you want to. The reason why I'm going to leave F10 up now is it kind of gives explanation of what all these things are. So this green bar here is your stamina. You have what's called soft stamina and hard stamina. Your soft stamina goes down really, really fast. When you start doing mining and things like that, your hard stamina goes all the way down. Health, same thing. You have like a hard health and a soft health. I'll show you how to recuperate both your health points and hard stamina points in a few minutes, maybe even next episode, depending on what we get to this episode. And then you have your hunger bar here, which starts out at 100 and slowly creeps back down. So we've got to find some apples for food. The other thing you can do for food, because that covers basically everything on your UI, is right-click on the ground, down on, it's not the gather wild plants, that would be if you want to start farming. You also have this fishing and hunting, it's not that. It's going to be nature's lore, just where we found that gather plant fiber, you can search for something edible. So, looks like he's just kind of like looking around in the ground, trying to find, I don't know, some roots or things like that, and we'll see what I come up with. The game does start you out with 5 little cookies. Those don't really help you too much. You can just double left click on him and he'll eat the cookies, and that'll give us a little substance. If you go over it, you can actually see a quality. So quality 10 was about the amount of points we got on our health right there, okay? So you can see when I was looking on the ground on my little system bar that I failed to find anything. So that happens a lot. Just click on the ground again, search for something edible again. And eventually what we're going to be doing is finding what we call life root, which has different quality properties. It seems pretty random. I didn't find anything again, so I'm just going to try a new spot, see if this really helps us out, and go search for something edible again. And once I find this, I'm going to eat this. I'm going to, you don't have to like camp out for the night or anything like that. You actually have to let the night play through. And that's all going to depend on the server you jump into. If they have it set to where it's a 24-hour cycle, the game might actually last for 8 hours real time of nighttime. I have mine set to a 2-hour day cycle, so nighttime is probably about, I don't know, 20 minutes. Daytime is probably about an hour and a half. It seems to be that way. I haven't really timed it, so don't take my word on that. But it just gives you an idea of how this game actually works. Oh, I can see the shadows dipping down over the sunset. Oh, and there goes the sun. That was a nice little view there. And I'm not going to bring you guys along at nighttime for this 101 series. I will bring you guys back in the morning. Just note that you don't have to like throw down a sleeping bag or anything like that to start. Just try to survive the night. I would suggest clicking on the ground, gathering a bunch of plant fibers, gathering food, and building your primitive tools, because you can kind of do that in the dark, but for video purposes and viewing pleasure, I'm going to wait until the next day to do that. And as you can see, I'm having some trouble finding some good edible plants, which it takes time, and my skills are pretty low. My nature's lore isn't very high, it's at 25. Again, that can cap out at 100, and that's another thing, depending on the server you go into. Sometimes your actions will create just such a small level of skill increase that you really have to focus on, hey, I'm going to be the lumber guy and do logging and construction or whatever. And someone else is going to focus on herbalists and healing, and someone else is going to be masonry, someone else is going to be smelting. So it's going in that direction. Now, to understand, if you didn't catch it when you joined a server, if you hit the L button to bring up your skills again, you can see I have a dedicated server here that I'm running, and I have the total skill cap set to 2,500. The maximum's 3,000. So what that means is on this page, I can't have more than 2,500 skill points allocated across the board. Sometimes I think default's like 600 or 1,000. And as you can see, just with the basic skills here, I already have 200 skill points spent. So this can get used up very, very quickly, okay? So I will see you guys in the morning. Hopefully I will have found some food and found something, edible, but I'm going to just have this character wait it out through the night, and I'm not going to do anything except on video. So I'll wait until the morning, and hey, that's a great way to end it. We found some edible taproot. This is what it looks like here. You can go just kind of mouse over it, leave it there for a bit. Quality 27, so it's better than our cookies. So we're going to keep this to the side, and if we get too hungry, we're going to eat some of that. So we should be good, and see you guys in the morning, and actually I'll just see you guys next episode. This is kind of a good first, how to get started, how to find your stuff. Remember, right click on your branch here and start creating your primitive tools. That's how you're going to want to start the game. Food, primitive tools, and then we'll move on from there. Again, thanks for watching. Go ahead and check out my Monte Rico Gaming page. Also, I have a special group set up for the Monte Rico Gaming Elite where we do all of our multiplayer. We do have a village of probably about 15 to 20 people so far, and hey, I can hold 64 people on this server. We'd love to get a really big town going. We're starting to get the leadership roles figured out and figuring out all the skill sets. So we're having a great time and would love to have you guys join us. So see you guys in threads. I'll post all the links down below, and if you want to watch us build live, dude, you got to go check out Jehan. I'm going to put his link down there. He usually live streams all of his building and time in the game. So I do kind of my 101 series. You've also got Tech Texan doing videos. He's got kind of a training video and kind of showing out how our village is growing, and then we've got the live streams going, which I'll get those up and running as well. So thanks for watching. See you next time.